Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into the world of Nollywood today.
Yeah, it's really having a moment.
It really is. We've got some really fascinating articles and data all about how the Nigerian box office is exploding in 2024.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, so let's just get right into it. The Nigerian box office has brought in a whopping N8.76 billion.
Wow.
That's Nigerian Naira so far this year,
Wow.
which is a 59% increase compared to last year at this time.
That's a huge GE increase.
Yeah, it's insane. So clearly something is working here.
Well, I think it's not just about making movies, but they're really thinking strategically about when they're releasing these movies, and they really seem to understand their audience.
So there's like a method to the madness.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that really stands out is December.
Oh, interesting.
December has become like this prime time for Nollywood blockbusters. And it really all started with The Wedding Party back in 2016.
Oh, yeah, that was such a phenomenon.
Right, like a cultural touchstone. Yeah, and that movie kind of set the stage for this whole trend of blockbuster December releases.
So basically, December is the time to release your big Nollywood movie, and everyone's going to go see it.
Pretty much.
Interesting. And speaking of big Nollywood movies coming out in December, there's one that's generating a ton of buzz right now. Everybody loves Geneva.
Oh, yeah, Funke Akindele, she's like a Nollywood royalty at this point.
Yeah.
Her movies just do so well at the box office. In fact, her releases last year, just in 2023, brought in over N1 billion.
N1 billion.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So, I mean, no wonder there's so much excitement for Everybody Loves Geneva.
It's going to be big.
Yeah, it premieres on December 13th.
Yep.
So, I mean, expectations are high. I guess my question is, is it just the holiday season that's driving these December releases, or is there something else going on?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. Of course, the holidays play a role. People are looking for ways to celebrate. They want to be entertained.
Sure.
But I think there's also this really smart understanding of audience psychology. Like, filmmakers are really tapping into, cultural events and traditions like Christmas and New Year celebrations.
Yeah.
To create films that, really resonate with audiences on a deeper level.
So it's not just any film that's coming out in December. It's like they're picking films that really align with the whole festive spirit.
Exactly.
Interesting. And speaking of December releases, it's not just Everybody Loves Geneva hitting theaters.
Mm-hmm.
We've also got Alicata, Bad and Bougie coming out.
Yeah.
Directed by Toyin Abraham.
Oh, yeah, another Nollywood powerhouse.
It seems like she's got a real knack for comedy.
She does. And Alicata, Bad and Bougie, is actually part of a really popular comedy franchise.
Oh, wow.
So it already has this huge built-in audience.
It's like a guaranteed hit.
Pretty much.
And, those Alicata films, they're known for their humor, but they also have these really relatable characters and often touch upon some interesting social commentary.
Exactly.
So it's not just mindless entertainment. It's like it's got a little bit of depth to it.
It does.
And on top of those two, we've got Seven Doors, Thin Line, and Christmas in Lagos, all premiering this month too.
Wow. December is going to be packed.
Yeah, a real feast for Nollywood fans. What's interesting to me, though, is the variety, right? You've got comedies, dramas, thrillers. There's really something for everyone.
That's true. It's a smart strategy, Cater to a wide range of tastes, and you're bound to draw in a bigger audience.
Yeah, exactly. But I have to ask, with all this focus on local productions, what about international films? Like, are Hollywood movies making any kind of dent in the Nigerian box office? What about Moana 2? That's been huge everywhere.
Yeah, Moana 2 is doing well in Nigeria too, but what's really remarkable is that even with these big international blockbusters, Nigerian films are still dominating.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, local productions account for over half of the box office revenue this year.
Wow. Over half.
Yep. So it's not just that Nollywood is riding the coattails of Hollywood or anything. It's a powerhouse in its own right.
That's incredible. Though I have to bring up something kind of strange. The sources we have mentioned a slight dip in ticket sales compared to last year, but at the same time, revenue is way up.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I think that points to a trend we're seeing, the rise of average ticket prices.
Oh, okay.
So basically fewer tickets sold, but at a higher price per ticket.
So there's like a trade-off.
Exactly. And there are a couple of things driving this. First, the growing popularity of premium formats like 3D and IMAX.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
People are willing to pay more for a more immersive experience.
So it's like Nigerian audiences are becoming more discerning.
Yeah, they want quality, and they're willing to invest in it.
Interesting. So it's like a sign that the industry is maturing, audiences are expecting more.
Definitely.
I'm curious, though, is this sustainable? Can Nollywood keep this momentum going? To answer that, let's turn to an industry expert, Moses Babatope, CEO of Niley Group.
Ah, yes, he's a really insightful voice in the industry.
Yeah, so what does he have to say about the future of Nollywood?
Well, he believes that the Nigerian film industry is like on the cusp of a major transformation.
Oh, that sounds promising.
Yeah, and one of the things he points to is the dramatic increase in the number of cinemas.
Okay.
Like back in 2004, there was only one cinema in the entire country.
Wow.
And today, there are nearly 90.
That's incredible. From 1 to nearly 90. That's a huge jump.
It is, and it shows just how much the demand for cinema has grown in Nigeria.
Right. But are 90 cinemas even enough for a country the size of Nigeria?
That's a good point, and Babatope actually emphasizes that there's still a lot of room for expansion,
Okay.
especially when you consider Nigeria's large and rapidly growing population.
So more cinemas, more screens, more movies. It all sounds very promising.
It does, but of course, no industry is without its challenges.
Yeah. What are some of the hurdles Nollywood needs to overcome?
Well, Babatope acknowledges a few key challenges. Currency fluctuations, which can impact production budgets, and rising production costs, which can affect profitability.
Yeah, I can see how those would be major obstacles.
They are, but despite these hurdles, Babatope is actually quite optimistic.
Really?
Yeah, he predicts a 10–15% increase in cinema attendance by the end of the year.
Wow, that's a bold prediction. What makes him so confident?
Well, he believes that Nigerians have a deep connection with the cinematic experience, a bond that transcends economic uncertainty.
So it's like, even when times are tough, people still want to go to the movies.
Exactly. It's a form of escapism, a way to connect with others, and a source of shared cultural experience.
I can definitely see that. So just to recap, we've got a booming box office driven by strategic releases.
Especially during the holiday season.
Right, and rising ticket prices, which reflect a shift in audience preferences.
And despite some challenges, there's a real sense of optimism about the future of Nollywood.
Yeah, it's a really exciting time to be following this industry.
Absolutely.
Right, so we've talked about how the Nigerian film industry is like booming right now
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
with these December releases
Yep.
and the fact that ticket prices are going up.
Right. But I think it's time we zoom out a little bit
Okay.
and look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
We've been focusing on individual films and directors.
Sure.
But what about the overall financial landscape of Nollywood?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, how do all these box office figures actually translate into like broader trends in the industry?
Exactly.
I mean, where do we even start with that?
Oh, you actually gave me a great resource for this, that Wikipedia page that lists the highest grossing Nigerian films of all time.
Oh, yeah, the Wikipedia rabbit hole. You know I love that.
Yeah. And it gives us a really fascinating historical perspective
Yeah.
on box office performance and reveals some interesting patterns.
So what kind of gems did you unearth from this list?
Well, first of all, it confirms that this whole trend of blockbuster December releases is not new.
Yeah, we talked about the wedding party setting the stage back in 2016.
Right. That was a huge holiday hit.
Yeah, it really was.
And that tradition has continued. Films like Omogedo, The Saga in 2020, Christmas in Miami in 2021,
Yeah.
they also capitalized on the holiday season to draw in those big crowds.
Yeah, it seems like Nigerian filmmakers have really figured out how to tap into that holiday spirit,
They have.
create films that people want to see.
Exactly. And, it's interesting, if we look at the top grossing films on that list, adjusted for inflation, of course,
Yeah.
you see a very clear upward trend in revenue over the years. Like, for instance, A Trip to Jamaica from 2016,
Yeah.
that earned the equivalent of over 1.5 billion in today's Naira.
Wow, that's a lot of Naira.
Yeah.
So it's like not only are people going to the cinema more often, but they're also spending more.
Right. And I think that ties back to what we were talking about earlier with those rising ticket prices.
Yeah, totally. It all connects. More moviegoers, higher prices, and they've got those really smart release strategies down.
Exactly. It's like a perfect storm for box office success.
Yeah. And something else I noticed on that Wikipedia list? A lot of franchises and sequels.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The Wedding Party had what, like 2 sequels?
I think so.
And they all did really well too.
They did. And it's not just the Wedding Party franchises are huge in Nollywood.
Yeah, just like Hollywood.
Right. Like there's something so comforting about seeing familiar characters and storylines.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you get to revisit that world that you enjoyed so much the first time around.
Exactly. So which franchises stood out to you on that list?
Well, I mean, Omogedo, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Funke Kindle again.
She's a powerhouse.
Yeah.
That whole franchise has brought in over 2.8 billion adjusted for inflation.
Yeah. Something like that. And then there's the Up Trip franchise, spearheaded by Io Makun.
Yeah, those movies are huge.
Yeah.
I think that franchise has brought in over $5 billion.
Wow. That's incredible.
It's insane. But I mean, it can't just be about sequels and like the same stars over and over again, right?
That's a good point. I mean, are there any like newcomers who are making waves?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a great question, and it actually leads us to another important takeaway from this Wikipedia list.
Okay, I'm listening.
The rise of new talent and diverse storytelling.
Ooh, tell me more. I'm always excited to discover new voices in cinema.
Well, one name that immediately comes to mind is Adeloluwa Owu,
Okay.
who directed the 2023 blockbuster, A Tribe Called Judah.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's a really thought-provoking drama that's resonated with a lot of people,
Hmm.
and it's already earned over $1.4 billion.
Wait, so it's actually done better than some of those big franchise films we just talked about?
It has, which I think really shows that audiences are hungry for new stories.
Totally. They want to see fresh perspectives, you know?
Yeah.
It's not just about the familiar faces.
Exactly. And it's not just directors either. There are all these new actors, screenwriters, producers
Yeah.
making their mark on Nollywood.
That's so cool.
Yeah. It's a really vibrant and evolving industry.
It's really inspiring to see an industry that's not only commercially successful,
Right.
but also, like, creatively fertile, you know?
Yeah.
It's embracing new talent and
Yeah.
new stories.
It really highlights the power of cinema to like transcend borders and connect with people on a human level.
Totally.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've been mostly talking about the business side of things.
Yeah.
What about the cultural and social impact of these films?
Oh, that's a great point. I mean, Nollywood films often tackle really sensitive social issues and spark important conversations
Yeah.
about things like gender equality, corruption, religious tolerance.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of Nollywood films are more than just entertainment.
Right.
It's like they're offering commentary on contemporary Nigerian life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge part of Nollywood's appeal.
Mm.
Audiences appreciate seeing their own realities
Yeah.
reflected on screen.
That's like holding up a mirror
Exactly.
in society.
And prompting reflection and dialogue.
Yeah, it's more than just escaping reality.
Right.
It's about understanding and engaging with it.
Exactly. And beyond tackling social issues, I think Nollywood also plays a vital role in showcasing Nigerian culture to the world.
Oh, for sure. I mean, those films are just a tapestry
Yeah.
of Nigerian languages, traditions, music, fashion.
It fosters a sense of national pride and identity, you know?
Yeah, it's really powerful. It's like they're exporting a piece of Nigerian heritage through these films.
Exactly.
And it allows people from all over the world
Right.
to experience and connect with a culture that they might not otherwise have access to.
And that international reach is another key aspect of Nollywood's cultural impact.
Mm.
You know, Nigerian films are increasingly popular in other African countries and diaspora communities worldwide.
It's so important to have those diverse voices
It is.
represented in cinema.
Right.
It broadens our understanding of the world.
Absolutely.
All right, so to recap, we've got impressive box office numbers, a history of successful franchises,
The rise of exciting new talent.
and a profound impact on Nigerian culture and identity.
Yeah. It's quite a story.
It really is an incredible journey.
But before we wrap things up, I think it's important to acknowledge that there are still challenges
Okay.
that could hinder Nollywood's continued growth.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, every industry faces obstacles.
Yeah.
We talked about some of them earlier, like currency fluctuations and rising production costs.
Right.
What other hurdles does Nollywood need to overcome?
Well, one major challenge is piracy.
Oh, yeah, of course.
The illegal distribution of films really cuts into profits
Yeah.
and undermines the industry's financial stability.
I mean, it's a global problem, but I imagine it hits industries like Nollywood particularly hard.
It does.
Yeah.
What can be done to combat that?
Well, it's a complex issue.
Yeah.
Stricter law enforcement is definitely necessary.
Makes sense.
Public awareness campaigns can help educate consumers
Yeah.
about the negative impacts of piracy.
Yeah.
And I think most importantly, ensuring that legal content is affordable and accessible.
Yeah, it's gotta be easy.
To choose the legal option.
Exactly. What else? Oh, another significant challenge is infrastructure. While the number of cinemas has increased dramatically, access is still limited in many parts of the country.
Right, because Nigeria is a huge country.
It is.
Yeah.
And getting films to everyone who wants to see them can be a real challenge.
Yeah, I see that. So building more cinemas is crucial, especially in rural areas.
Right.
But even then, there's going to be people who can't easily access them.
That's true. So, investing in technology like mobile cinemas could help bring the cinematic experience to those remote communities.
Yeah.
And expanding streaming platforms could also be really beneficial.
Right. It's about meeting the audience where they are.
Exactly, whether that's in a traditional cinema or through digital platforms.
Okay, so we've got piracy and we've got infrastructure. Any other hurdles on Nollywood's path?
One final challenge I think we should mention is funding.
Oh, yeah. Funding's always a challenge.
It is. While Nollywood has attracted some international investment, securing adequate funding for productions remains a struggle for many filmmakers.
Right, because making high-quality films requires resources.
It does, and not everyone has equal access to those resources.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, if talented filmmakers can't get the funding they need,
Right.
then that stifles creativity. It
Exactly.
prevents them from really realizing their full potential.
That's right. So, addressing this funding challenge requires like a multifaceted approach.
Yeah.
Government support could provide incentives and grants to filmmakers.
You're right.
Private investment could offer financial backing.
Sure.
And innovative financing models like crowdfunding could tap into the enthusiasm of fans and supporters.
Yeah, there's a lot of different avenues they could explore.
There are.
Wow, we've really gone deep into Nollywood here.
We have.
The successes, the challenges, the cultural impact, and like the financial realities.
Yeah, it's a fascinating industry.
It is. I feel like I have a much better understanding of this whole world now.
Me too.
But what really stands out to me is just the resilience
Yeah.
and resourcefulness of Nollywood.
Right.
Like, despite facing these obstacles, they just keep thriving and innovating.
It's really inspiring.
It's a testament to the passion of the people who make these films.
Yeah, absolutely.
So are you ready to explore what all of this means for the future of Nollywood?
I am. Let's dive into the final part of our exploration.
Okay, so we've explored the incredible growth, the influence, and even like the hurdles facing Nollywood.
It's been a really fascinating journey.
It really has. But you know me, I always got to ask, like, what's the takeaway here? What's the so what? Why should our listener, who's obviously, interested in cinema, why should they care about Nollywood's success?
Because it's not just a Nigerian story.
Mm-hmm.
It's a global one.
Sure.
Nollywood's rise is really a testament to the power of storytelling to transcend borders, to connect with audiences on a human level,
Yeah,
regardless of language or culture.
I love that. It's
Yeah.
like a reminder that great stories can come from anywhere.
Exactly. And Nollywood is proving that you don't need a Hollywood-sized budget to create compelling and impactful cinema.
Right.
It's about passion, ingenuity, and a deep understanding of your audience.
And honestly, Nollywood brings a freshness and an authenticity that's often missing in mainstream cinema.
Absolutely. Nollywood films are raw, vibrant, and unapologetically Nigerian.
Yeah.
They offer a glimpse into a culture that's, rich in tradition, yet incredibly modern and dynamic.
It's like a window into a world that we don't often see.
Exactly. And that's why I think Nollywood's success is so important.
Yeah.
It's not just about entertainment. It's about representation.
Yeah.
It's about giving a voice to those who are often marginalized or ignored.
And in a world that's becoming increasingly interconnected, that kind of cross-cultural exchange is more vital than ever.
Couldn't agree more.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's like the one thought-provoking question that you want to leave our listener with?
Okay, here's one to ponder. Will Nollywood's success continue to snowball? Eventually, like establishing it as a major player on the global film stage.
Oh, that's a good one. I mean, we've seen how Nollywood is already making waves internationally.
Right.
Could it reach the same level of global recognition as Hollywood or Bollywood?
That's the million-dollar question. And the answer, my friend, is up to us,
Us.
the audience.
Oh, okay.
Will we continue to support and celebrate Nollywood films? Will we demand more diverse and authentic stories on our screens?
It's a call to action, really.
It is. We have the power to shape the future of cinema by choosing what we watch and what we support.
So to our listener, we say, go out there and explore the world of Nollywood.
You might be surprised by what you discover.
Yeah, this deep dive has only scratched the surface.
Right.
There's a whole universe of Nollywood films out there waiting to be explored.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll be talking about Nollywood as the biggest film industry in the world.
Now, that's a future I would love to see. Well, thanks for joining us on this Nollywood adventure.
It's been my pleasure.
Until next time, keep diving deep and stay curious.